Let's come back to our political editor. And just if you are just tuning in this morning, we have now seen the Privileges Committee report. This is into Partygate. Not whether there were parties. That was a Sue Gray report. Big question marks about that as well, after Sue Gray going off to get a job as Chief of Staff for Keir Starmer. But this is a report into whether or not Boris Johnson misled the House of Parliament when he said, didn't know anything about a party. Oh, no, wasn't there myself. Oh, well, I was there, but I didn't think it was a party. No, all the rules were followed. We've seen those clips many times. Well, he even gave evidence himself when the committee has ruled that not only did he lie to Parliament, he also lied to the committee when they were investigating whether he lied to Parliament, and they said he deliberately misled the Commons, committing a serious contempt. They say the punishment would be, had he not resigned as an MP, a recommendation for a 90-day suspension. That's 90 sitting days. Realistically, with summer recess, he'd still not be allowed in Parliament if he were an MP until about November. But also saying he should have his Commons pass taken away. So basically, only, even as a former Prime Minister, only able to enter the parliamentary state, just like you or me, as an ordinary voter, having to have his bag searched and go through airport-style security. Our political editor, Peter Cardwell, is still with me. I think, as shocking as this report is, even though we knew what he was going to say, more shocking is Boris Johnson's response. He's issued a statement saying that the Privileges Committee...
1,678 words.
This is his second response. We've already had the 1,000 words on Friday. All credit to the guy. He writes quickly. The man has fast typing. He said the Privileges Committee was beneath contempt because it had reached a deranged conclusion to deliver what is intended to be the final knife thrust in a protracted political assassination. This is Trumpian. I don't like the comparisons like Boris Johnson and Brexit with Donald Trump. I think those are very different movements to a certain extent. But this is very Trumpian in the whole, I don't accept it, it's a political witch hunt, it's politically motivated.
It had no legitimacy from the start.
Yeah, and I'm the victim.
Yes.
What do you make of what his words are?
Well, I mean, let me just read one more paragraph. This is a dreadful day for MPs and for democracy. Mr Johnson says the decision means that no MP is free from vendetta or expulsion on trumped-up charges by a tiny minority who want to see him or her gone for the Commons. I mean, that is definitely a very exaggerated statement.
This is the key that it all falls down. His argument all falls down, and this is all kangaroo court. 4 members of that 7-strong committee, yes, not the chairman, but 4 members of that committee, who we understand they were unanimous in that report, were Tories.
Yes.
Because they're not anti-Brexiteers. Bernard Jenkins, who's criticised for hypocrisy, attending an event himself during December 2020 Tier 2 restrictions, he was on the board of Vote Leave. It's not even, there's no anti-Boris, no anti-Brexit vendetta going on there. The House of Commons has, what, a 65-strong majority of Tories,
for Conservatives,
and then if he did have to face recall, there was a 10% of his constituents decided, which we know that easily would have happened. Labour and Lib Dems said, we'll call for a recall, we'll have a by-election. He's got a majority of, what, 7,000? If he's so convinced this is the establishment against Boris Johnson, the man who delivered Brexit, the man of the people, why not just stand in that by-election, win a rousing bigger majority, proving that you speak for the nation and the nation don't really care about some stupid party that happened during lockdown and people having cake in the Cabinet office. Now, if he really believed that, he'd stand for election. Instead, he's resigned.
Well, also, I mean, it's not entirely out of the question that he does stand for election in either, probably not the Uxbridge and Ruislip by-election, but what about Mid-Bedfordshire if Nadine Dorries finally stands down,
Here's the thing, you have to be on the candidates list. If you were Rishi Sunak right now, you've just got...
But is Rishi Sunak going to do that? I mean, is he going to defy the party membership and do that to a former Prime Minister, even despite this huge report? I mean, they're fascinating questions.
I'm thinking now, who will rid me of this turbulent priest? I mean, this is the thing. Would you really want him to be back in Parliament when you've just... OK, he could be sniping from the sidelines as a columnist, as someone making millions on the speaking circuit, but he's not viable as a Prime Minister because he's not an MP.
Yeah, that's right. And it is fascinating to... I mean, it is outside the realms of possibility, I would argue, that Boris Johnson would ever get to the final 2 again, even if the Conservatives lose the next election. So it is fascinating in terms of his own position, but he has come out fighting. This statement is just, it does not miss and hit the wall in this very similar way to the way the Privileges Committee report itself does not miss and hit the wall. This is damning big language, this is big stuff in politics, and there's a lot of anger here.
There are certainly on both sides.